Guess we're live. All right, where did I put it? Where did I put the Oscar? Oh, there it is. Need the prop. $110 fucking degrees. You can have that. Jesus. I don't know how you people survive out there. I know how my friend survives. She stays in the air conditioning all day. Kathy's running late tonight. Broadcasting from beautiful 79-degree, kind of balmy downtown Cleveland. It's station WDWL TV, home of not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and an Oscar. Oh. And yeah, we're brought to you by this asshole, Grumpy Vulture Productions. 110 degrees. Jesus Christ. I know, everybody said, it's a dry heat. Hey, dry heat, wet heat, 110, that's fucking hot. How long have you guys been in triple digits? I know it's quite a while. I guess I would have to come out there and spend some time. I don't know how you people function in that kind of heat. I realize you don't have the humidity that we have here, but god damn, that's hot. I don't care whether it's dry heat, wet heat, that's hot. Holy shit, really? Is that like a record? Jesus Christ, triple digits since April. God damn. I'll tell you what, I'd take my hat off to anybody that lives in that state because I don't know how people survive. I realize everything's air conditioned, but you still have to step outside. Although it saves on utilities because you just cook your food on the pavement or on the hood of your car. That's normal. Jesus. It's the only state where every hood of a car has got barbecue grease and barbecue sauce all over it because they, instead of lighting a fire, they just throw it on the hood. They want to make baked potatoes, they wrap them in aluminum foil, put them on the roof. God damn. Oh my God. Although, like I say, I would have to spend a week out there, but that's still hot. That's still freaking hot. Boy, I'll tell you what, I was reading the sports reports this morning. Holy shit, are the Cleveland Browns fans pissed off? Oh my God. Man, they were putting signs all over by the stadium and had to send security out to take them down. And, we acquired this, what the hell's his name? Deshaun Watson. We got him a little over 2 years ago from Texas. And I don't understand what the Haslams were thinking because Texas literally got rid of him because there were so many complaints from so many women about him doing nasty things. Gotta watch what you say on YouTube. Matter of fact, the police had filed like 11 counts. And Texas, they got rid of this son of a bitch. And then Cleveland said, we'll take him. Matter of fact, we'll give up 3 first-round draft picks and we'll guarantee his salary. So Texas was like, whew, we dodged a bullet with him. Unfortunately, the grand jury out in Texas failed to indict, but the complaints are still rolling in. He got a guaranteed contract. Now that means you get paid whether you play or not. 3 years, $280 million. Guaranteed. So that means the next game, if he would become injured and be out for the rest of the season, he's collecting his normal paycheck. $280 million. And Cleveland just made him starting quarterback. Oh my God, the fans are up in arms. They were showing on the news, man, the fans plastered the Jim Brown statue full of signs, all negative. And of course, they send security out to take him down, and next thing you know, more went up. I don't know what the hell the Haslams were thinking. Here's a guy that basically Texas literally got rid of. They didn't want, they had cut him from the team. And the Browns owners went, we'll take him, and we'll give you 3 first-round draft picks for him, and we'll guarantee his salary. Unfucking, oh. They say, okay, he might play on an average 10 years, maybe more. So that's how they justify the salary. Because he's not a normal, 25, 30-year employee. Nobody is worth $280 million. Nobody. And he's not that good of a player. He was less than 50% on his passing during the last game. We got a guy that plays at a 50% production level, and we give him $280 million. And like I say, next game, if he gets hurt, he gets the money. He gets paid $280 million to sit on the bench. Absolutely disgusting. And then I missed a bit of news yesterday. I couldn't believe it. Poor Dolly Parton passed away at 80 years old. God love her. And not more than 3 days ago, she was feeling pretty decent, and she went, I still have a lot that I want to do. And then 3 days later, she's gone. Although she has been battling some health issues, because early in the year she was supposed to, what do they call it, a residency at, I can't remember the casino. Which basically, a residency means, you're going to do shows every night. And she had to cancel due to health issues. And we really haven't seen her. But although she really took the death of her husband hard, she really wasn't the same after he died. Matter of fact, it was like a year and 3 months, something like that, since he passed. They said it was cancer, but they didn't say where or what. She had a hell of a career, I'll tell you that. Started out 6 years old singing in her father's church. And look at the career that she had afterwards. Not only singing, movies. She was a damn good actress, too. I hope that, Dollywood keeps going, because a lot of times when the person, you know, the headliner, which she's also the owner, when they pass, a lot of times the family just doesn't want to bother with, you know, but I can't see them turning the money down. The place does make a lot of money. Really? When? God, how do I miss all this? I missed Dolly and I missed him. Wow. Although they say it comes in threes. Not wishing somebody else to pass, but they say it always comes in threes with stars. Oh, did I have fun with Samsung today? Yesterday, God, I missed them both. Although I just briefly kind of scanned through the news. Usually, I've got like 5 different websites that I go to in the morning. I think I just briefly scanned and went, not a busy day. And then I missed both of them. I had fun with good old Samsung today because my remote is starting to really get intermittent. So I called. First of all, I went online, which was the big mistake. And I attempted to purchase a new remote online. And when it got to the credit card information, I put everything in. I clicked purchase, and it started to buffer. There was a little blue circle in the middle of the screen spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning. And up pops the chat. And it says, "Are you having a problem with your purchase?" "Yeah, it's buffering. It won't go through." "Well, give it some time." I look up in the corner and it's AI chat. Not even a live person. I couldn't even cancel. So I just exited out and I went back in to check to see if maybe while I was in the buffering mode, it made a purchase, which it didn't. So I got on good old Google and I Googled the phone number for Samsung and actually got a live person who transferred me to another live person who transferred me to another live person. Finally, the third live person was the person I needed to talk to. So I gave him my tale of woe about my remote. And he checked the records and he goes, your 2-year warranty was up 2 months ago. So I said, I'm 1 month past the warranty. Yes. I said, I need a remote. How long has yours been acting up? I said, well, I really don't pay much attention to it because sometimes at night, maybe, I was thinking I'm not hitting the button the right way. I said, it could be acting up for 2 months, could be acting up for 3 months, could be acting up for a day. I don't know. So he says, let me check. The remote for my TV is no longer available. I said, you've got to be fucking kidding me. He goes, wait. We have an updated remote. Oh, updated. What's the update? It doesn't take batteries. Okay. It has an internal lithium battery that is either charged by solar power or USB. Like, really? He says it's $58. I said, you're not going to give me a break? I'm 1 month out of warranty and the remote's going haywire. You're not going to give me a break? I said, let me explain something. I said, the reason I bought your TV is because previously I owned a Chinese piece of crap. It said RCA. It was made in a Chinese factory where they just stuck any name on. If RCA needed 50,000 TVs, they put RCA on. If TCL needed 50,000 TVs, they put TCL on. Chinese crap. I said the set lasted 1 year. They wanted to replace it. The problem was, I didn't want a replacement. I wanted the money. And I said they ended up stuffing an off-brand Chinese TV up my ass, which I immediately sold to buy the Samsung that I currently own, because I researched and found out Samsung was made in Mexico, supervised by American people, not made in China. I didn't want no Chinese crap. And you're telling me that you're not going to assist me on the remote that is 1 month out of warranty? I said, goddamn shit should last longer than 2 years. I said, that's a problem with this country. Nothing lasts. I said, at one time I had a Magnavox TV that was almost 50 years old. And I had dropped it once. And it still worked. And you're not going to help me on a remote? Hold on. I get transferred to his supervisor. So I explain the whole situation. And I says, I think it's asinine that I have to pay $58 for a new remote that is basically 1 month out of warranty. Well, unfortunately, sir, do you want to complete the purchase? I says, let me tell you, let's do it this way. forget the fucking purchase. I'm going to just get rid of the fucking TV and buy something else. Screw it. Yeah, it's going to cost me more than $58. Screw it. I don't want your shit. Hold on, sir. I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And I get the director of customer service, the director. He says, I understand we have a little problem. I said, no problem. I said, the remote has been dying on my TV for probably a couple of months. I'm 1 month out of warranty, and you're going to charge me $58 for a new remote. And then I explained the Chinese RCA crap TV that only lasted a year. And I said, no problem, sir. Keep your remote. I'm just going to get rid of the fucking TV, and I'll buy something from the competition because I've had it. I said, nothing is built to last anymore. Everything is crap. I said, back in the day, shit lasted 20, 30, 40, 50 years. I said, my grandparents had a goddamn RCA radio that was almost 100 years old and it still worked. So I said, I'll just get rid of your fucking TV and I'll buy an LG or something else. I said, yeah, it's going to cost me more than $58, but fuck it, I've had it. I'm tired of this shit. Everybody makes crap nowadays. Nothing lasts. He says, are you through? Yeah, I'm through. What do you got to say? Can I have your name and address? I said, why? I'm going to authorize a replacement remote. Well, you are. Can it cost me anything? No, sir. We want to make our customers happy. I said, 3 people previous to you could have made me happy. All they did was piss me off and get me wound up, and I end up with you. I said, no, you don't want to make me happy. You were hoping that I'd go the fuck away. He says, you don't have to keep swearing. I said, yes, I fucking have to keep swearing. I said, let me tell you something. I'm unlimited income. I said, previously, I bought what I thought was a reliable American-made TV, RCA, which was one of the first in the industry. I said I previously had an RCA TV. It lasted 30 years. I buy this one, it lasts one year. And they wouldn't even replace it with an RCA. And I said, didn't make any difference because it wasn't an RCA. It was a mass manufactured piece of shit that they put the RCA name on because RCA ordered 50 or 100,000 TVs. 1 year. I said, that's disgusting. So before I bought another TV, I wanted to buy a TV that was not made in China. And I bought yours. And then I get a rash of shit because my warranty is 1 month out. 1 month, not a year. I think I have a right to bitch. He says, well, I'd like to make you happy because I'd like you to continue buying Samsung products. I says, well, I'll tell you what. You take all them people in customer service that talk to me, the 3 that talked to me previous, and explain to them how they make a customer happy and not continuously piss them off. I said, I got 3 no's. Then all of a sudden you're like, okay, we'll give you one. All they had to do was call you. It's obvious you weren't doing nothing. You answered the phone. They could have put me on hold and talked to you and said, hey, can we make this guy happy and give him a free remote? I said, you're not losing any money off of me. So, I don't know when it'll be here, but I'm getting a new, they call it a solar cell remote. A solar cell. Recharges by putting it in sunlight or a USB. No more batteries. The only way you can get anything done today is you've got to bitch. And people are afraid to do it. I come from a different generation. If I feel I'm wronged, I don't take no for an answer. This goddamn remote, my TV, was 1 month over. 1 month. Matter of fact, not a full month. He told me 27 days. I said, so for 27 days, you were going to piss me off to the point where I would never buy another Samsung item in my life. And he asked me, he said, were you serious about getting rid of the TV? I said, fuck yes. I'd have given it to whoever wanted it. And I'd have gone out and I'd have bought the competition. I said, probably an LG. Because I said, I have a 20-year-old LG flat screen that still works like the day I bought it. So, if your people wanted to make a customer happy, the first one could have done it. But you probably have a big sign in the answering station that says, say no. It's probably plastered all over the call center. Say no, say no, say no. He said, no, not. I said, then how come 3 people in a row said no? I guess they didn't like me swearing at them. Because it was amazing how I got transferred and transferred and transferred and then transferred to you. Couldn't they have put me on hold, called you and said, hey, we're going to lose a customer. But I said to him, I said, you don't care. You sell millions of these goddamn flat screens a day, all over the world. Me? I'm just some little dinky drop of water in the ocean. That's the way you treat customers. We're just the next dollar sign. And then after we make the purchase, it's fuck you. He kept saying, sir, do you have to keep swearing? I felt like asking him, are you a Mormon? Are you Amish? Don't tell me you haven't heard anybody swear. I guess the higher up you get in the company, the more you think you're dignified. I really wanted to say to him, you and I put our pants on the same way, one leg at a time. I didn't, though. Once he told me he was sending me the free $58 remote, but it still really didn't calm me down. Because had the sale gone through on the website, they'd have got my money. But after it started to buffer and I just closed it out, I got pissed off. And I also told him, I said, everybody is going overboard with this AI shit. You get AI chat, you get AI answering. And then you want me to take a survey after that's powered by AI? I don't think so. I said, I'm the type that remembers back in the day, if you wanted to buy something, you picked up the phone, you got a live person who took your order, you gave them your credit card number, and it got shipped. Now it's all AI, AI, AI. But what really did amaze me is Samsung publishes a customer service number that when you call is answered by a human. The first person wanted to know if it was tech support or software, or I said, I need to buy a remote. I said, then I went through the chain of command. First guy said no. Second guy said no. Third girl said no. I go up the ladder. Finally, I get a yes. I mean, I wasn't looking for it for free. I'd have paid half. Like I say, if the sale would have gone through, they'd have got the whole $58. I was just looking for a little help. But the more they said no, the more pissed off I got. And the more I swore. The guy kept saying, do you have to swear, sir? You have to use that foul language, sir. I said, that seems to be the only way a person can make their point. I said, you probably were not listening until I said your fucking TV, and boy, your ears probably perked up right at that point. But the first 2 minutes of the conversation, you probably didn't even know what I said. I wanted to ask him, do you happen to have me on speakerphone so that everybody upstairs can hear? Because after he told me he was going to send me the free remote, I told him I wasn't looking for it for free. I wanted a little help. That's all I wanted. I thought for an item that was less than a month out of warranty, deserved a little help. And I said, every time somebody said no, I got more pissed off. And I said, unfortunately, you got the wrath of my blood pressure and my foul language, which I was thinking to myself, seemed to work. He didn't like when I said, customer service nowadays doesn't exist. I said back in the day, the slogan was the customer is always right, no matter how wrong they were. I said when I started my first part-time job at Sears and Roebuck, it was beat into my head. I said now the attitude is fuck the customer. And again he went, did you have to say it that way? I said, well, it's the way it is. I'm not a customer. I'm a dollar sign. And I'm a past dollar sign because you got my money. Once you get my money and I get my TV, screw me. I tend to think there'll probably be a meeting tomorrow with all the employees at the call center. Emergency meeting. And then again, after I hung up, things went right back to normal. But I'm getting the new upgraded solar cell remote. Can't wait for that. It'll save me on AAA batteries. And then, you would think that these manufacturers would get, put their heads together and decide on what battery goes in your remote. Because I have 4 different remotes. 2 of them take AA, and 2 of them take AAA. You guys can't make up your mind? Yeah, they use the AAAs because the remote, it can be made smaller. And I'll tell you what, I hate this shitty remote. When I get the new one out, I'll show you. It's ridiculous. Little skinny ass, worthless thing. I also said to the guys, when I get this new remote, how much of a problem am I going to have pairing it with the TV? He said, it's very easy. He said, pull the tab out to activate the battery, and then press rewind and pause at the same time, and hold it for 2 or 3 seconds. That's it. You don't even have to point the remote at the TV. Pull the tab, hit them 2 buttons, 1001, 1002, 1003, let go. Remote's programmed. I said it better be. And then when you call, can we have your email? Can we have your phone number? Can we have your name? Can we have your blood type? Can you tell us what you had for dinner last night? Oh, Jesus Christ. I said to the first guy I talked to, what if I don't have an email? Well, everybody has an email. I said, I don't think so. I don't think every person on earth has an email. I said, there's a lot of seniors that aren't with this new technology. I said, Christ, I got a friend that still has a flip phone. Can we have your email? I give my email. Can we have your phone number? Give my phone number. Can we have your address? I give my address. Can we have your name? I give my name. Can we have your blood type? I give my blood type. Can you tell us what you had for dinner last night? I told them what I had for dinner. I guess that made him happy because then he asked me what he could do for me. But immediately they say no. Matter of fact, the first guy didn't even let me finish. I said, let me talk to your supervisor. And the supervisor said no. Then the second person goes, is there anything I can help you with? Yeah. Transfer me to your supervisor. Third person answers and says no. And then asks me, is there anything else I can help you with? Yeah. Give me the top person in the department. Whoever's in charge of the call center. Give me that person. The guy answered the phone. Hello, Joe Fabates, Director of Customer Service. Oh, you're the director? I said, before we go any farther, is there somebody over you? He said, well, yes, the vice president. Good. Here's the problem. And then I blew his eardrum out. And luckily, I didn't have to go over his head. But boy, I gave him 2 earfuls. I'm a customer he won't forget. He probably personally boxed and addressed the package for the solar cell remote. Solar cell, oh boy. Although I do like the idea that it's rechargeable. Because I'm tired of going to Family Dollar and buying multi-packs of AAA batteries, even though they're $1.25. Or no, they're at $3 now. How many batteries are in here? 8. 8 batteries. $3. I have to go once a month and buy an 8-pack. I also have to buy an 8-pack of AA's for the other remote. They don't care anymore. Big businesses don't care. They really don't. Although, person number 3, when I said, fuck it, I'll just get rid of the TV and buy something from the competition, holy shit, I never got transferred so fast in my life. I got the director. And when I told him I'm going to get rid of the TV, he goes, don't do anything harsh. We can rectify this problem. How? We'll send you a new remote free. Why couldn't the first person do that? Or the second? Or the third? Because you want, and 90% of the average customers will take no for an answer. They go, oh, okay, it's out of warranty. I'm sorry I called. Have a nice day. Because Samsung is one TV that you cannot use a universal remote. Now, if it was my LG or my Magnavox, I could go on eBay and buy a universal remote. And it would program and it would work. No, not with Samsung. Different software. They want you to come back to them. The problem was, I did come back to them. And the remote for my TV, it's no longer available. Because I even said to the director, what happened if I couldn't get a remote? I would have to constantly walk back and forth and hit the buttons on the bottom of the TV, which is another stupid place where they put them, in order to change the channel or change the volume. Because nowadays, you need a remote. Otherwise, it's like back in the 50s. Walk up, change channel. Walk up, raise or lower volume. I would have to hire a 5-year-old to sit next to my TV. Change the channel, please. Okay, lower the volume. Thank you. No, you can't go home yet. The street lights are coming on. Oh, damn it. You have an older brother? No? Shit. Okay, go home. I'll just leave the TV on the channel that it's on and watch whatever shit comes along. I was watching this YouTuber. His YouTube channel is called Bruce in Aus. Now, he could spell out Australia. He just Bruce in AUS. First of all, the guy's kind of cool. He's retired. I don't know what he did for a living. I never caught. Evidently, he was a master mechanic. And he drives around out in the outback and finds abandoned equipment. Last night, he found an abandoned Euclid mining truck. Big, huge honker. He said, let's see if I can get it running. So he's, he drives you crazy, He spends 20 minutes cleaning battery cables, and he must use 55 gallons of WD-40. But it's amazing. He takes this shit, and this mining truck, he said, has sat for at least 30 years. And he got it to run. And he not only got it to run, he brought a compressor out and aired up the tires. He got it to drive. He got the dump bed working. And then he just leaves them there. Because he don't own them. It's the challenge to get it to run. The next video, he found an old Caterpillar bulldozer that had been out in the outback for 40 years. Because he verified with the farmer whose property it was sitting on. The farmer said, 40 years ago, when I bought my property, somebody parked this thing here. I don't know where it came from. He says, I went to bed one night. The paddock, he calls it, was empty. I get up the next morning, there's a bulldozer in my paddock. Don't know where it came from. He figures that somebody no longer wanted it, so they unloaded it off a trailer and just dumped it on his property. He said, I mowed the paddock around it. And it was, there were trees growing up through it. Bruce had to get out his chainsaw. And then they don't call them weed whackers down there. They call them whippersnippers. Because after he got done cutting the trees out of the bulldozer, he went, I guess I'll go get the whippersnipper and kind of clean up around here. And I'm like, what the fuck is a whippersnipper? And he comes out with a weed whacker. And then he spends at like 3 days. And he said he had to drive like 50 kilometers to this bulldozer. Spends 3 days changing the oil, changing the filters, adding hydraulic fluid, bringing batteries, and finally he got it started. And the amazing thing was, he raised the blade and he drove it around. And then he parked it and he went, well, that's it for this video. We got a runner. And he leaves him. It's unbelievable. I could see him researching. Now, I'm sure he didn't need that big, 300-ton dump truck and that old bulldozer. There was another video, he found an old Farmall tractor that had been sitting for 30 years, and the engine was locked up. And he spent a week and finally got it to run and drive. And then he just drives away. Because he has made the statement several times that in Australia, if something is abandoned, it's like finders keepers. Now, this mainly goes for construction equipment. Because he found 2 different videos and 2 different areas, surplus army trucks. One was a dump truck, and the other was like a flatbed. And they were ex-army vehicles. And he got them both running and claimed them as his because he said they're reliable as hell. They were 6-wheel drive. And in his paddocks, multiple paddocks, when it rains, it gets a little muddy. And in order to get back and forth, he needs a 6-wheel drive vehicle. He also found this, he called it a moon buggy. It looks like an Arctic cat. But you use it in like marshy areas. He got that running and claimed it for himself. He uses it on his farm. But it's amazing. He'll go out and start this shit and get it to drive and then just leaves it. He goes, well, we made a runner out of it. Maybe the next guy that comes along will want it. I don't know how many subscribers he has. Quite a few. And evidently he's monetized, because I can't see him spending his money on oil and diesel fuel and you name it. There was one, what the hell was that goddamn, a Bedford truck. It was made in Australia by Holden, which was GM. They also made Bedfords in England. He removed the starter and took it home and rebuilt it. Then he had to remove the clutch master cylinder. He took that home and rebuilt it. He had to remove the brake master cylinder. He took that home and rebuilt it. He blew out all the brake lines. What else did he do? And he ain't getting no money. Well, I'm sure he's getting money from YouTube. Because I can't remember, I think it was the brake master cylinder. He needed a rebuild kit. And he said the parts, he didn't say parts store. Whatever, the parts store. Like, called all over Australia to find a brake rebuild kit for a 48-year-old Bedford truck. Finally, they found one. And he rebuilt the master cylinder and got brakes working. And he takes these vehicles and he drives them around for a little bit. And then he parks them. Now, I'm sure he probably takes his batteries. But maybe he leaves them. Some guy come along and go, hey, shit, it starts, it runs, I'm taking it with me. But it's also amazing the amount of construction equipment that's abandoned all over Australia. He came across a Euclid front-end loader. And he researched the VIN number, and it was used to build a dam somewhere in Australia. And he said how it got where it got, he had no idea, because it was like 400 kilometers from where they built this dam. And he got it running and got it working. I think he took that one home. Because he said he had a use for it. But this shit's all over. It's like when they're done with it, they just park it and walk away from it. Like that big mining truck. That was another thing. He goes, I don't understand how it got abandoned to where it got. Because he said, we're about 300 kilometers from a mine. How it got here, because it had fuel, it had oil, because once he got it started, he drove it around. Because when he originally found it, he said, well, there's a possibility, the engine went bad, or the transmission went bad and they just left it here. There was nothing. Once he got it running, he was even tilting the dump bed back and forth. He goes, I don't know why it got abandoned. It's a runner. That's his line. It's a runner. He's pretty neat. If you're ever bored, go on YouTube and look up Bruce in AUS. Pretty cool old guy. Pretty cool old guy. There's another one. I think the YouTube channel is called Mike's Garage Down Under. It's either Mike's Garage or Mike's Place Down Under. He's got some unbelievable equipment. Although he is the type of guy, rather than get it started where it's at, he's got a big tractor trailer with a low boy, and he'll go out and he'll winch the shit up, take it home, drop it in his paddock, and then eventually work on it. Most of the stuff he comes across, he takes home. Bruce just starts it, gets it to operate, and walks away from it. Then I woke up to this one. I don't even know what the YouTube channel is. It's this guy. He's either in North or South Carolina. One of them good old boy garage mechanics. And he found this, I can't remember, it was a 48 Ford or 48 Lincoln, and dragged it home and took it apart, put it back together, got it to run. But his YouTube videos are like 3 hours long. And he's like, well, I think I'm going to cut a hole in the hood and we're going to put a blower on this thing. And cuts a big hole in the hood. Puts a blower on. Oh, I didn't cut it big enough. Last night he was trying to get tie rod ends apart. He was heating them and beating them, and I'll get it apart one way or another. He finally did. Now I got to get the pitman arm off because I got to change the seal in the steering box. Change channel. Different YouTuber. I think I went back to interrogation videos after that. Then I realized the one I was watching I had seen, and I couldn't get the remote to change. I was bored as hell because I knew what was going on. Then something woke me up at 6 o'clock. And it was another one of these backyard mechanic guys, Vice Grip Garage. Vice Grip Garage. Now this guy's kind of cool. He finds barn finds. Last night, in a barn, he found an old Chrysler Cordoba. That wasn't too bad. It was dusty as hell, The interior still was nice, but it hadn't run in like 25 years. And he worked on it, and what he does is he buys them. And he gets them to the point where they'll run and drive, and then he drives them home. And this Cordoba, he said, I got to drive 1,000 miles to get home. I hope it makes it. And he got it running. He got the brakes to work. He got about halfway home, and something went, I can't remember what went haywire because I kind of dozed off. And in the back lot of a motel, he fixed it, and then he finally got it home. I don't know what he does with them once he gets them home. Maybe he probably sells them. But he's a cool dude. And the name of his YouTube channel, if you ever want to watch him, is Vice Grip Garage. Because, like, he was looking at he opened the distributor up, and he called it the Sparkulator. Well, I got to check the Sparkulator. And he needed a rotor or something, you know. I need that rotating device. And he goes to the parts store, he buys a rotor, puts it back together. Well, let's see if the Sparkulator's going to work. I know he does it just to be silly, but he keeps you interested. But anything that he finds, he buys. And then he drives them home. God, he found a Mustang GT. It was a 68. I don't know what he paid for it. He got it running. He drove it home like 300 miles. Every now and then, he'll show, you know, out in his back lot, and he's got cars all over the place. But he's kind of cool to watch. So 3, I recommend. Bruce and Oss. I think it's Mike's Garage Down Under. Although it might be Mike's place. And then Vice Grip Garage. Kind of cool. I like them because they're, you know, auto mechanics. I like watching how different mechanics work on vehicles. Of course, I still have to get used to, down in Australia, they call wrenches spanners. I need to go get a spanner. And he was looking through his toolbox and he goes, I can't find this. I'll use the adjustable spanner. The crescent wrench. Down there they call it an adjustable spanner. Because last night he was showing his fancy new spanner kit. Because one end of the wrench was straight and then the other end was angled. And he was showing how you can get into tight corners. Of course, I looked up the information and I couldn't find it. Because he held the thing up and it's a VIP 1810. I couldn't find that wrench kit to save my life. I would have bought it because of the angled heads on the one end. Because there have been times I've been working on the Passat and it's a bitch to get into things. Although I bought a set of metric crowfoot wrenches, which really help on some things. What else did I want to talk about? See, if I don't make a list, I forget. Oh, I went up to see Ryan today. Getting this immobilizer turned back on is going to be a bitch. He said to me, he said, you think it's worth it just to have a working key fob? And I said, well, you know, it would be nice if I go somewhere questionable to be able to lock and unlock the vehicle with my key fob. So he told me to come up with it tomorrow because they were quite busy today. And he says, I will read up and see if there's any way we can kind of shortcut the operation without having to disconnect all the shit that the battery, the ECU, or ECM, ABCDEFG, whatever. He's going to see if we can do it by just turning the lock in the door. He can't remember if it's 7, 9, 11. And you have to do it in rapid succession. And if if you're counting and you miss, and it should have been 9 and it was 8, then you got to disconnect the battery and start from scratch. Yeah, you're late because we're gonna shut down at 8:30 tonight. I got something I got to do that I forgot to do earlier. Evidently, Kathy's busy again tonight. The other night when she wasn't here, she said she was busy. Of course, I didn't check my email. I got to get that other computer going so that I can check email and set up for the show at the same time. I put that screen up. I did go up and buy some lag bolts. That screen ain't coming down unless they knock the house down now. It's lagged into the stud. That monitor ain't going nowhere. Matter of fact, I might put my other curved monitor up there. I got another 35-inch curved, the old curved monitor. It was giving me problems, so I bought this new one, only to find out that it was a dirty connection for the power plug. I got it working perfect. So instead of the 24-inch flat that I got, maybe I'll put my other 35 curved, which will look cool up there. And then I can hook it to that small form factor computer, and I can check email, and if I have to Google something, I could Google. Like I Googled Samsung's phone number today. Which I was impressed, because 90% of these companies don't publish phone numbers. They don't want you calling them. And the reason I called is because I didn't get a response to my email. You know, where it said, email the CEO. I'm like, yeah, right. Well, it's obvious the CEO must have deleted mine because 3 days have gone by and no response. And with the remote acting up even more, but like I say, had the sales screen not locked up, they would have got my 58 bucks. But once the sale wouldn't go through, and I don't know why, because it was a good credit card, I just exited out and I decided to call and order it that way. And lucky I bitched because I got it for free. And an upgrade. The solar cell remote. Fully rechargeable. No batteries needed. How come I'm getting all kinds of smiley faces in the corner of my chat? I didn't see that before. When did that start? Smiley faces, hearts. Where the hell's all that stuff coming from? I don't know if you can see in the corner of the chat. There's all kinds of emojis floating around. Now they stopped. Nope, there they go. I've never seen them before. How the hell did... What controls that? It's kind of neat. Floating emojis going up the screen. Although I noticed something, I don't know when that started, but now there is a timestamp on every chat entry. It shows what time they were put in. I don't know when that started. I didn't turn any of that on. So I got timestamps and now I got floating emojis. But they stop and start. Looks like now they stop for good. Nope. There went one. There's another. That's kind of cool. I don't know if that's been going on nightly or if it just started tonight. I kind of like the floating emojis. They just keep going. Well, every now and then they stop, then they start again, then they stop, then they start again. Kind of neat. It's amazing how simple little things distract me. I have to order some more coffee. I'm getting low on coffee pods. Man. Oh. See, I didn't know that. Kind of cool. I like it. I don't fool with too many of them buttons because I don't need to screw anything up. I don't know if I could turn them on or not. Well, maybe. No, I ain't clicking nothing. I'll end up screwing the shit up. But it's kind of cool. I like it. Adds a little pizzazz to the chat. Damn bird. I'll hear about that from the CEO tomorrow. Although he hasn't been in the CEO's office lately. Well, look who's here. You're actually a few minutes early there, fat ass. Jabba the Gut. Feed me, I'm hungry. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Sits there, gives me that sad-eyed look. I'm looking right at you. And you're looking back at me. I know you're starving to death. You're going to fall over from hunger. Yeah. Maybe if I didn't feed him for 60 days. You need to go on a diet. Man, I'm going to catch hell when I take you to the vet. Oh, my God. He'll put you on the scale and go, holy shit, I got a mountain lion here. Yeah, you're overweight. Immensely. The last time I was at the vet, he said 9 to 12 pounds. You're 22. Yeah, I'm talking to you. I can't take them sad eyes.
We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again.
We know we're right here. All right, everybody. I have to feed this starving fatso. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks for being here. And we will meet again right here tomorrow night. And with that, be safe. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. See you. Bye. Bye-bye.